unstoppable kick-ass confidence. Are you ready?
Welcome to the Raw and Unscripted show with Christopher Rausch, where we help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Now please welcome our host, Christopher Rausch.
Hey, what's up, Kick-Ass Nation? It's I, your No Excuses coach, back for another episode of Raw and Unscripted with yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap without the self-help fluffy bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of most ages, hey, welcome to another Tuesday night of my show, where we sit here and we get deep and we have fun and we get into the places where we can actually get you to motivate yourself. We get you to take responsibility for yourself. We get you to thrive. We get you to not only thrive, but even succeed in more areas than you've ever succeeded before in your life. Yes. How are you guys doing, ladies and gentlemen? Let's see who's here already in the comments. It's great to see you tonight. This is a live show. Teresa Turner. What's up, Teresa? You are fucking amazing. I love you. Cindy, what's up, Cindy? My day has been great. It's been challenging. I went to the dentist. I had a couple of cavities filled. It's amazing. I'm 50 years old and I got cavities. It's like, what the hell is that? Bad brushing technique. I don't know what it is. Anyways, you guys didn't tune in to hear about my dentist things, but anyways, hope you all are having a great ass evening. And tonight it's my special privilege to have a great guest for you tonight. As I always do, bring you great guests or either do a solo show. It's always my intention that seriously, when you guys watch these shows, that you walk away with something that you can apply in your life, right? And I know you guys watch these, and I know that you take these tidbits and you send me comments on them, and I really, really appreciate it. But tonight's show is going to be extra special. I have a good friend of mine on here, a brother from another mother, a newly published author, ladies and gentlemen, The Adventure of Purpose. My buddy Travis Barton is going to be my guest here tonight. And I just got to tell you a little bit about him. He is such a great dude. I mean, when you talk about somebody like me who walks my walk, I mean, I know a lot of you guys always, at least I got teeth. At least, when you meet people that walk their talk like me, I get a lot of people saying, man, you're real, you're honest, you're who you are, warts and all. And that's what Travis is. Travis is an amazing dude. I've known him for many, many years now. And now he's a fellow coach and a fellow inspirer in the personal motivational space, and is a recent published author. And we're going to be talking about his book tonight, but he's just such a great cat. And I really want you guys to connect with him. And I think many of you might already know who he is. But it's just my privilege and my honor to bring and welcome to the show, not only Mr. Travis Barton. What's up, brother?
Hey man, can we just take a minute and talk about your epic intro? I hadn't seen that before. That just got me pumped.
My epic intro. Yes. What do you want to talk about?
That intro to your show, the heavy metal and the just cut it out with the crap, man. We're going to get you going. Man, I'm fired up over here.
Awesome, man. Well,
when I think of kick-ass, that's what I think of. Awesome stuff.
Hell yeah, brother. How are you doing?
Living the dream, buddy. Living the dream. Hanging out, having a good day. Yeah, man, definitely. How are you?
You looking tan? You're looking gorgeous?
Been out in the sun quite a bit. It's been an epic summer, to say the least. So
I know,
yeah,
me too.
definitely.
You can't see it in my face, but I'm like really tan. I mean, you can't even see it on camera, but you probably super tan.
Really good. I don't even realize it, man. So good.
I know. I was like, because I've been out of the corporate job now since November, and we have a pool. So take Jackson swimming 2 or 3 times a week. And I'm just like, I feel guilty. I'm like, I'm in really good shape and I'm tan. And I'm like, I'm happy. I'm not in the corporate world anymore. I'm coaching and I'm having my great shows with you on here. So no, life is great. I mean, my son's awesome. We're healthy. Everything during this COVID time has been nothing but a blessing. How's the COVID time been for you?
Not a lot's changed. I think, keeping our distance for the most part. And, it's been pretty, working from home and working from your computer. It's, not a lot's changed in that regard. In the beginning, definitely in the first few months, keeping our distance from most people and, still going out wearing the mask. I mean, so kind of things have changed in that way. But other than that, man, it's been, pretty great summer. So, yeah.
Awesome. Teresa says, welcome, Travis. And
hi, Teresa.
Teresa says, thank you, Christopher. Love you. Yes, love you too, sweetheart. Cindy says, hello, Travis. What's up? And then, of course, at least you got teeth. Yes. I was talking to my dentist today. This is no joke. I've been going to the same dentist since I was 17 years old. And as you know, I was homeless. So when I was homeless, my mom didn't make me brush my teeth. So I had a shitload of cavities and problems. So I've had multiple root canals, implants, and I was getting a cavity filled today. And I realized I did the math. I'm like, I've been coming to this dentist for 34 years. That just blew my mind. It was like, holy crap, been coming there for 34 years. It's amazing. So I've spent a lot of money on my teeth, Cindy.
So is she looking at you and saying, 34 years, I've known how you've grown. I'm proud of you. This is amazing, everything you've done. Or I mean, 34 years is a long time to know a dentist.
What's older than you are, right? How old are you now?
Well, it's just a year younger than I am. So I'm 35. Thank you very much. So not quite that
I've been going to the dentist when you were a baby, when you were a little kid. How cute.
That's right. Same dentist, man. Same dentist.
Oh,
it's great. It's wild.
He's awesome. He's awesome. He actually came to my first wedding. He gave me he gave me a crown for my wedding present because it was like $600 and I couldn't afford it. You know, it was like I was 18 years old getting married. And yeah, we've known each other for that long. No, he loves me. He's such an awesome dude. He does such a good job on my teeth. He's like, I know you're out in front of people all the time, so I want to make sure you have the best smile. And I'm like, thank you so much, because you know, if you would have seen me before, Travis, I used to have these huge fangs and my teeth were all jacked up. So I never smiled. I hardly ever smiled and showed my teeth because I had these huge like fangs. It was just like, ugh. So yeah. Anyways, we're not here to talk about my teeth. We're here to talk about the fact that you are a published author, ladies and gentlemen in the
Oh,
house. Dude, how'd you become a published author? Tell us your story. What's your journey? Why did you pick adventure on purpose? Are you an adventure guy or what?
Every time somebody says to me, and I'm on one of these, and they say you're a published author in the house, I'm going, oh my God, I got to pinch myself. It's like, yeah, I'm a published author. That's pretty cool. So no transparency. I got still pretty badass. So I think that's cool. It's a long journey getting that book published. I had an idea. It was a simple seed, and I literally, started writing one day, and I finished the book in the course of about a couple of years. I really took my time with it, and I think I was interviewing somebody else on my podcast, and they were a published author, and they said their publisher was looking for that kind of a book, and I said, hell yeah, okay. I sent them over my stuff. I had some people back it, and the rest is kind of history, man. It just started with a single kind of idea. I didn't overthink it. I didn't think I wanted to ever get it published. I just, said I'm just going to write and see what the next step is. And then once the next step came, I did that, and I didn't overthink it. I just kind of led with my heart, and I went from there, man. So here I am. I think 4.5 years later, the thing's published. And if I were to see where I'm at 4.5 years ago, just starting the damn thing, I would have been no way. So it's pretty cool, and people seem to like it too, which is neat because I only wrote it for myself and to kind of get my stuff out there, and so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Has anything changed for you since you published it? Because I know, you and I talked before, and there was a little bit of a delay in getting it published. What has it been like for you? Because my book is sitting right here. Not done. Well, I mean, it's completely done, but it's not published because I'm a perfectionist. But what has life been like to be able to say that you're a published author? Has the receptivity from your friends or from clients and everything been differently? Does it added emphasis to your repertoire?
So let's go back. You have a book and it's not published because you're a perfectionist, right? You're a rock and roll fan like myself, right? Okay, so you're a Boston fan, maybe Guns N' Roses, guys like that. They 10 years to put out Chinese Democracy, and then 10 years to put out like Boston's Third Stage album. It's too long. I mean, that's perfectionism in play, and it just doesn't need to be that long, right? Some of the best records come out when you're kind of under the deadline. So just a little something to kind of help you out. For me, not much. It's something that I kind of send out to people that I think need it or could use it, and it's just been kind of I don't know. I see it in my bookshelf every day when I go walk by it, and it's just kind of cool. And it's just kind of neat to be a published author, and it's interesting having my clients read it before I start working with them too. Most of my clients that I'm signing now are reading the book now, which is really neat because they're kind of getting a taste of my world, which is a little interesting because usually I'm the one kind of asking the questions as a coach. So they know a lot more about me now, which is pretty interesting and I guess pretty insightful for them as well. So they kind of know who they're kind of getting to work with before we start working together, which is pretty neat actually.
Nice. I love the fact the way you constructed the book is stories. You tell the story of motivation and inspiration through your own stories and your own adventures. Talk to us a little bit about that and choosing some of those stories and just kind of going with that motif. I love the way it flows. It sounds very conversational because I know you. I know that it feels like I'm talking to you. But talk to us a little bit about formatting it that way.
So it was definitely inspired by world travel. Obviously, if you read the book, you can tell it's, so many of my insights in life have come through traveling. As many people who travel the world can kind of rediscover themselves or discover themselves or uncover new insights about themselves traveling. I'm not new in having the same thing happen to me while traveling. However, the entire concept of the book was inspired by me kind of sitting at bars or coffee shops around the world and talking with people and just learning. And that's kind of was the cadence that I wanted to have in that book, is I wanted it to feel like you're sitting in a coffee shop or a bar, having a beer or a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, just hanging out with me and talking. And I'm sharing travel stories. And through those stories were insights and lessons on how I kind of discovered my own path in life and what I wanted to do and who I really was. So it kind of worked out really well. It's interesting because when I started writing the book, I just wanted to write a book on purpose, a guide on how to discover purpose. And that was the first draft. It was just a step-by-step process in discovering your life purpose. And through that, I kind of sat with it and I said, this needs to have more of me in it. And I literally said one day, all right, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to, as cheesy as it sounds, try to bleed on paper as much as I can and see what comes out. Ernest Hemingway, my favorite author, said, write drunk and edit sober. I didn't necessarily take that literally, although some nights I did, but what I did is take that kind of in a philosophical way and kind of bled on paper. And I wrote spiritually drunk and I just puked on paper. And I went back and I didn't edit much of it. So it's kind of all there, so that's kind of the concept and what it's kind of going for.
Nice. Have you always been the adventure type? I mean, were you always like from a little kid stage, like always curious and always on an adventure? Or was there a point in your life where you were like kind of stuck and just didn't know what to do and you just kind of broke free and said, fuck, I want to go see the world and go experience life? What was it for you?
Awesome question. It's interesting because at an early age, and I talk about this in the book, we know more of who we are at an early age than we usually do as an adult, because as an adult, we're typically kind of living in alignment with kind of limiting beliefs or societal expectations or pressures. And so as a kid, I really was that. And that was my fantasy, was to travel and be in the woods and just be out sailing and stuff like this. And going through my teenage years, I started to kind of try to fit in. And naturally, as you can probably surmise, I was pretty miserable doing that. And so it wasn't until I really recaptured that youthful kind of spirit of adventure that I really rediscovered who I was. And I not only found purpose, but just happiness. And it's something that, I guess it's always been in me, but it's not necessarily been, in my teens and even early 20s, it was definitely something that I had lost, which is a sadness. But thankfully, through travel and exploring the world and all that stuff, I was able to definitely recapture that and find myself again. So that's the clue. I think that's the kind of one of the major points of the book, is tapping into that youthful kind of spirit that we used to have. Who were we with no boundaries? Who were we before people told us who we should be? We live in a society that tends to say, be yourself, and that's great. But then once we're ourselves, our society tends to say, well, it's a little too weird. Why don't you just rein it in a bit? You know what I mean? That's a little too much.
Oh, I know.
Right?
For me.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Camera, Chris.
Definitely. Hey, you rock too hard, man. I don't like Motley Crue. They're a bad influence, right? Well, I like Motley Crue. I like Van Halen. I don't listen to, so it's just kind of it was a major insight for me while traveling and in discovering, or I guess not discovering, but rather uncovering, rediscovering who I really was.
So you just said it a second ago, but my question to you is, how come we do lose that sense of adventure? I'm so keen on the fact that most of the stuff that screws us up happens between the ages of 0 and 5. A lot of our conditioning beliefs, a lot of the inputs that we get from our parents and our teachers and our friends and society and religious aspects of life, they all go into that. And it seems like we're all playful, we're all curious, we don't have any sense of fear, but then something happens. What do you think that is? What is it that happens that causes us to lose that spontaneity, that curiosity, that fun, that excitement, that, well, let's just go do it and figure it out? What happens?
Yeah. Do you remember that? It was like we were kids, and I remember I wanted to be an astronaut, and it wasn't a question of if I was going to be one. It was a question of how I was going to be one. I've already decided I was going to do it. It's just the world was open. And I don't think it's, listen, the world's not out to get us mostly, and people aren't bad, but I think a general conditioning of society is kind of slow down, be realistic, whatever that means, and just kind of play by the rules. I think as kids, we're told no more than yes by a very large margin. I just actually read a study on that. It's pretty interesting, and the effects that it has on a kid. And we typically, I gotta find this study because I've been quoting it a lot in the last couple of weeks. But as kids, what that in effect does to us is we tend to be a little more reserved in our natural kind of inclinations, and so that's a sadness. And I think it's just kind of the way, it's not necessarily our parents or our society's natural paradigms. It's just kind of what they've been raised with, and then what they've been raised with, and it's kind of we're kind of taught to kind of fit into this tight little box and don't rock the boat too much, and just be who you are, but don't be too weird, And I don't know. I wish I had the answer for that, but it's some parents really promote independence, or not independence, but just being who you are and expressing, yourself. And some parents just kind of want you to fit into a kind of a rigid kind of little box. And I think somewhere in between, people just kind of lose who they really are. And I think the importance of discovering who you are, rediscovering that is to really tap into that youthful kind of innocence. And so it could be anything: school system, religions, parents, friends, all these things. Kind of, as you go through life, especially your formative years, you really you're social creatures. You want to fit in, but sometimes it's at the cost of losing yourself.
Oh yeah, dude, that's my journey. I mean, you know that I was a suit and tie speaker getting up there. I tell people that I used to have 2 Facebook profiles. Like one was called Good Chris and one was Bad Chris. One I swore on, one I didn't. And I had the good one because when I started swearing on it, people were like, Chris, I don't like that language. I'm like, I didn't want to offend anybody. So I kept that one. Then I started this other one, and they were doing it at the same time. It was crazy. So then I literally was in a mastermind. Like, Chris, that's ridiculous. You have 2 personas right now. You have to pick
it's crazy.
I'm like, it's scary. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to be left out and excluded. And finally, I just had to take that jump and own all of this, the whole kick-ass thing, the whole swearing thing.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, ever since I've done that, it's been the best.
Yeah, because you have the freedom to be who you are. Whether you're going out having Sunday fun day with the girls, with the guys, or a coach, the ultimate freedom is just to not have to feel like you're wearing a mask all the time. I mean, it's exhausting. And you know what's interesting? Talk about how conditioned we are. We literally met before I started coaching, and I asked you advice, and you said, I used to be the suit and tie guy, and now I'm the kick-ass guy, just be you. And you know what I did? Because I was so conditioned, I just went and I was wearing the blazer and the shoes, and I was talking, all the, and I wasn't who I really was, because I was that conditioned to just show up as this persona, I guess. And it wasn't until I really stepped into who I was that I really was able to find success.
So you didn't take my advice? Is that what you're saying?
I took most of it, but here's the thing. I did. I seriously did. But here's the thing. It's scary to be yourself. Right?
It is.
But the thing is, it's scary. But once we do it, we ask ourselves, why was it so scary to me? It's just this weird concept in our head that says it's scary, and then you step into it and you go, what was I so scared of? This is bliss. This is the world never wants anything other than who you are in the first place anyway. And you don't realize that. We can sit here and intellectualize that all night, but it's not until you actually do it that you realize it on an experiential level, right?
And that's when the doors really open. That's one thing I've noticed, Travis, since leaving the corporate job last November, in truly being me. Like before, I had to be reserved me on social media because, if my company went on there and saw anything like, oh, hey, Chris, you said this, or if I was trying to look for another job, I had concerns about what my personality was going to be like. Oh, who's going to hire this guy? And then once I just cut the cord and said, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to do my coaching full time, do my shows full time, consult everything else. It's been so amazing. And what's interesting is that the people that I thought were my friends who liked me for that version of Chris, when I truly became who I am, it's interesting. Those friends aren't around so much anymore. But the fucking amazing thing is I'm meeting so many amazing people right now. I am meeting so many incredible guests, connected people who are changing the world. It's when I truly just said, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be. That's when everything just kind of like just flew open. Is that something the way you experienced it?
So we seek a wide group. Like we think that's what's going to fulfill us, is a lot of people in our lives, right? And go through life trying to make everybody happy. All right. We try to play the character for every different person, right? And we think, well, why is it that so many people can be around so many people and feel so lonely, right? But what we need to do is focus less on going wide and focus more on going deep. And how do we go deep? How do we bring those right people into our life? Is it's very simple. There's not you don't need a 6-month course or a magic pill for this. It's to simply understand who you are and step out in the world and be that person. And what you do is that's when you find, you're not finding wide relationships and having a lot of people, but you're finding the right people. And that's when you say, man, now I'm filled. I feel good.
Yes.
It's not difficult in concept, but I understand it can be very difficult, especially for myself in practice. But I'm here to tell you, I'm here for you. Chris is here for you because he knows what's at the end of that tunnel, and it's not a long tunnel to travel either. And it's definitely worth it, right?
Yep. You got to cut the cord, man. I missed a question. Jen Grosso said, if you could do it again, what would you do differently? I believe this is relating to the book. This was a question that was back up. I was scrolling back up. Sorry about that, Jen. Thank you for being here, by the way. So if you could do it again, what would you do differently with the book?
Man, that's a great question. I don't know if I'd actually. I sincerely wrote this thing from the inside out. So again, I didn't write this with the expectation of getting a publisher. I would self-publish it. So I was literally being myself. I was powerfully stepping into that, and I didn't care who read it. I wanted to write a book to give to my kids one day. That was it. And maybe my audience, if they cared. And I took 2.5 years to write it, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to slow down and let it breathe and come back to it. That's a great question. This is the first time I'm saying this. I don't think I do anything different in writing it. And I think I kind of did a lot of things a lot of people encouraged me not to do, which is take your time and you can write a book in a month. And I didn't want to do that because it was this is my first book, dude. Like, right? I'm not gonna say, I wanted to be proud of it on my bookshelf, and I am, and I guess that's an awesome question, but I sincerely don't think I would do anything different.
Nice.
I sincerely wish I could give you a different answer to kind of give some advice. I don't know.
Well, that's good. You wouldn't do. That's perfect. Everything happens for a reason. The way you did it, you might do something else different next time with your next book. But Cindy says, what did you hope people would get from your writing?
I want them to have the come away with that, and I've gotten a lot of people kind of messaging me saying that they've come away with the inspiration to do more, which is kind of cool. Travel more, which is cool. And what I was hoping to get to deliver with that is the freedom and then kind of the know-how to uncover a life of purpose and find your passion in life and find the courage to step into that and make a living doing it. So that was my main goal. And I hope I delivered with it, honestly.
You did, dude. I read
Yeah.
the entire thing. And you delivered. I loved reading it. It's such a conversation. Like you said, it's just so conversational, but it inspires you really like, wow, you like, I want to go see Ireland. I want to go see the places you summited. I mean, you've had so many cool adventures all over the place, and some of them with your brother. I mean, it's such a beautiful story. I mean, I love the way you wrote it. So thank you for doing that, because you're going to impact a lot of people with it, obviously. Want to say a couple of shout outs here. Chad Pape is in the house. Love you all. What's up, Chad? Thank you for so much for being here. Chad's a cool dude. Chad's been on the show a few times. We got Kimberly from Kansas City, Missouri. What's up, Kimberly? So thank you for
Kansas City, right on.
Yes, what is going on? Let's see what else we got. Brenda, what's up, Brenda Bale? So good to see you here. One of my friends that I've met through this process, Pamela Aubrey. She's my fellow co-host. I'm on her co-host on her show, Rainbows in Real Talk, or Rainbows in Real Life, I think it is. She said, "Hey, sweet, I actually caught you live. Yeah, I've got 3 shows now, dude. I'm freaking rocking it. 3.
What is that? Rainbows and what?
Rainbows in Real Life.
Sounds awesome.
So she's coming more of the rainbows, and I'm the real life. So it's Pamela Aubrey and the No Excuses Coach, and yeah, we're just bringing positivity and light to the world. She's an amazing person. I love her to death. And what did she say here? Pamela's, I'm going to try the puking on paper technique because I just can't see the camera.
Because this is a big writer's block, right? And whether you're a writer or not, this could be any kind of creative endeavor. Here's a simple practice. Hemingway said it best: write drunk, edit sober. And that doesn't mean chug a bottle of wine, puke on paper. That just means lead from your heart. Let your inner artist come out and do its work before you let the inner critic do its job. Right? Mm-hmm. That's a big distinction, and that's how we kind of lose sight of who we are, by the way, is that we let the inner critic always make decisions before the artist. So just do it and see what you come up with. It's some people call it, I think, freedom, free writing or whatever. It's leading with the heart and just kind of just writing and just kind of bleeding and getting emotional, because nobody's gonna read it unless you go the next day and you edit and say, I don't think anybody should read it. But typically when you create from that space, it gets to the point where you say, I'm going to be vulnerable, but I do want people to see this. So lead and go with the intention that nobody's going to read it. Just you're just writing for yourself. You're just bleeding on paper, and just go into it saying, nobody's going to read it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be grammatically correct. I can misspell things. I can say things. Doesn't matter. I can piss off some people. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because all you're doing is just kind of puking on paper, right? Mm-hmm. And then come back. This is why it took me so long to write my book, is because I came back to it 2 months later, and I would say, okay, well, it's hard for me to put out, but okay, it's there and it's good. So that's it. It's only as hard as you make it. So
so true.
And I'd have you consider that that's what people want to read and need to read, by the way, is your heart, right? Not your head.
Thank you. Pamela says she needed that reminder. Pamela is awesome. She also says up here, Christopher knows I was terrified to be online invisible, and now I just embrace what comes. Yes. And you're doing a phenomenal job, dear. You are.
Right on, Pamela.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments in here tonight. Thank you so much. Actually, Cindy has another question. What was one special thing you did learn you might not have realized before your adventures? Ooh, great question, Cindy.
There's one special thing you learned that you might not have realized before. Okay, so travel, especially world travel, and especially solo world travel, made me realize that I was playing a character back home. Because you go and you travel the world, especially kind of more exotic cultures, and you realize how different things are. And you kind of start to realize that maybe my persona is an accident of geography and time. I am the way that I am. I have the beliefs that I have, and I'm doing the things that I do because I was born at a certain time, a certain place, and that's it. And you start to really understand that the more you travel around the world. And you meet people who have different beliefs, different loves and passions, all simply because they were born at a different place and time. And you start to really ask yourself those powerful questions and saying, am I this way because I was raised this way? Do I believe this because, my parents believe this? And then you start to really are able to uncover that. And then what world travel allows you to do is which is really fun, by the way, especially solo travel, is you can kind of play a different character and you can kind of be this different person, right? And not to say that I, went anywhere like, yeah, I'm a doctor, and none of that. It's just
Nothing like
that. Oh, I'm an artist, no, none of that. It's just
struggling artist. Take me in.
I had freedom to just be who I was really, and it was the most freeing thing. It was weird, and it was at first, but it was, oh my God, it was liberating, and it was, I can tell the jokes that I wanted to without, small things like that, without worrying about what other people are going to say. I can laugh like an idiot. I can be passionate about things, and I can say it like a little kid. And who cares? Who cares? And man, I'm telling you, so infinitely powerful. But here's the thing: will traveling the world inform that and help you realize that on an experiential level? Yes, in a very real way. If you go travel in a pointed way and say, I'm going to just uncover who I am and just be this dance with a rhythm of who I am. Yes, but you don't need a passport to learn that. Start simple, right? Just be out in the world who you are. And right, I had to travel, and most people do kind of uncover that within themselves. But you don't need to, is what I'm saying. You can just step into the fear a bit, because it's scarier to do it at home, which is why most people don't do it at home. But you try it step by step and really start to see, like, oh, people are actually starting to embrace who I are. The right people are starting to embrace who I am, and I feel, no spoiler alert, I feel way more happy. And by the way, that's another pillar of the book is studying your purpose. Is just to start to live in alignment with your values and who you are, and through that you're gonna uncover purpose.
Exactly. No,
that was a long-winded answer, man. No wonder I was able to write a book. Oh my God.
Hey, we're all listening to it. We're all listening to it. When I think about my journey, Travis, and going through, because you're right, I was always the same person around most people, even at work. I was the jokester, but there was certain aspects of myself that I would not, vocalize. And there was always like this, like, I want to say this, but I don't want to say this because I don't want to cause ripple effects. But, when you cause ripple effects, then you cause people to think and you cause people to change. For me, I had to get to a point where I was so worried about losing people. Like, oh, if I change, if I become more vocal, if I become more this, then those people aren't going to like me. And I had to get comfortable with saying, you know what? For me, speaking of books, I think about life as chapters in a book. I think about my career now, the 26-year career I had. That was a huge chapter in my book. And to walk away from that and to think about the relationships that I don't have anymore because now I'm doing what I'm doing, you just have to get to a point where you have to wish people well and say, hey, that was a chapter in the book, like the movie That Was Then, This Is Now from the 80s. It's like, that was a great time and it was cool and everything, but now you're maybe different. Now maybe I'm different and it's all good. We just continue to move forward and have that knowledge that all the right doors and all the right people, they're going to come walking in and not replace those people, but enhance that whole experience of the journey that we're on as long as we're growing. If you have the same friends that you had in high school and now you're 50 years old, what do you think of that? Is that somebody who's grown? Can you possibly grow with having your friends?
Well, I mean, sure, if you've been real to yourself the whole time. But I think high school is, at least in my case, and I think most people that I work with case, is definitely a time where you're not yourself because you're trying to figure out what the hell you want to do with the rest of your life before you even know who the hell you are. So I don't know. If you've been real to yourself, yeah, I would say so. But I don't think that's the case for most people, sadly. So I don't know, man. That's a great question.
Thank you. I'm an interviewer. You know that.
Me too. This is what we do for a living, right? We ask questions.
I know. I was on your show originally. That was fun. That was so much fun. So tell me about a time that maybe you went out and you went on one of these journeys and, you had like maybe a moment or an epiphany or something like that. Like, yeah, I'm going to actually, I like this playful thing that I'm doing here, wherever I'm at. And I'm going to bring this back. And when I go back home, was there ever a time when you came back home and you were a little bit different and people were like, what's up with this guy? Who do you think you are, Mr. World Traveler? Now you're this, and you're going to be a coach and a book writer and speak from stages and all that stuff. Was there ever a moment like that where you kind of came back and went, okay, it's going to be a little awkward being me, but it's okay?
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know, man. This wasn't a big. I wish I could say like stepping into who I was this big kind of enlightenment experience, But it was definitely a journey, and it was step by step, and it was small steps. But I think the first time it really hit me was when I decided I was going to be a coach. And thanks, Teresa. Man, I get chills, man, because I really stepped into that, and I was going, man, I'm going to do this, and I didn't know what it was, by the way. I just always had it in me to do coaching before I knew what it was. And once I discovered there was a thing that you can do called coaching and inspiring people, I said, no shit, that's definitely what I'm doing with the rest of my life. Which is interesting because people didn't exactly react in the, or my inner circle didn't exactly react in the most positive way.
You're going to be a life coach? You're going to be on Scott Baio's show? That's what I heard.
Scott Baio's show?
That's where life coaches became popular, because it was like Scott Baio has a life coach. And I remember I always struggled with the life coach thing. I'm like, I'm a personal development. I was always trying to figure out a different label. But yeah, when Scott Baio had a life coach, people were like, oh, you're going to be like the life coach on Scott Baio. And I was like, what? Let me go watch this thing. And I'm like, no, I'm nothing like that. That's
okay. So the term, actually, this is interesting because the term life coaching, I think is awesome. Like when I heard that, I'm like, fuck, that's awesome. Like that's great. I think people kind of ruin the term though, man. But like it's just become this kind of weird, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's a whole tangent, but people kind of, messed with it, I think. I don't know. It's interesting. But when I first heard about him, I've never heard the term before. And having, again, societal kind of information coming into me that said this is a weird thing. I just said, that sounds badass. And not, oh my God, that's, yes, that's what I'm supposed to do. So anyway, I stepped into it. And then people started to go, who the hell are you to coach? That's weird. All these things, right? And it was just this really uncomfortable time, because it was really interesting, because I was really finding myself really for the first time in my life, sincerely, for the first time in my life, I was really stepping into who I want to be. And I got so many people around me knocking me. And it was just not even knocking the career path. It was knocking me like the first time. And I'm going, oh, coaching. Well, don't you need to be smart for something like that? Like, seriously, I heard that. And I'm going, holy shit. And I started to go, holy shit. Like, oh my God, you're an asshole. You're my friend. Right. And that's great. Like, that's crazy. But here's the thing. Did that sting? Yeah, at first it stung. But then I started to live my life, and I didn't have to walk around and wear a mask around this person anymore, because I was who I was. And they naturally we made our way out of each other's lives. And I found freedom through that. And then what happened with me stepping into this weird thing, life coaching, that so many people at the time didn't understand, was that I met people that did understand it. I mean, for God's sake, I met my girlfriend through what I was doing, met the right people, the right people that sincerely came into my life, and the wrong people stepped out of it. And I don't want to romanticize it. It struggled through it. I'm uncovering who I am, and people aren't really accepting it at first. But I am here to tell you that through that journey, I did find the right people. So it was worth it.
Yeah, you have to stay strong to your dream. I still remember that. I still remember when I met you. It was like TGI Fridays. We met for a couple of beers and lunch, and you were just like, so tell me about this thing. And I just remember you were like fully into it. Cause I've had so many people hit me up for advice, like, oh, how do you do this? How do you become a speaker? And most of how to become a speaker. And they're just like, oh yeah. But you were just like, tell me more about that. So what, and you told me about being a bartender. I said, you're a bartender. I said, you're a fucking life coach already, dude. And I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished from that conversation, from everything that you've done, because it is a journey, and it's not, to really realize something that's important to us, and to risk for stuff, you're going to go through the dirt, you're going to go through the mud, you're going to get your, as Steve Harvey says, I always quote it, the video Jump. It's 1 minute and 58 seconds, guys. If you never watched it, go fucking watch it. Minute and 58 seconds. You got to jump. Your back's going to get scratched up. Shit's going to happen. It's going to be scary. It's going to be freaky. But then all of a sudden that parachute starts to open a little bit. Just a little, like, I feel like mine's opening a little bit. You know, okay. It's freaky. I'm okay. Oh, there's a rock. Oh, okay. But it's, I mean, that's why we're living. That's why we're alive, right? I mean, to go after the things that mean the most to us and risk those things and, you know, experience, I mean, live versus exist. That's the way I look at it.
You're not on your deathbed. You're not going to be on your deathbed happy that you played it safe too much. You know, there's always a call to adventure in your heart, and unless you answer that call to adventure, you're gonna wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat at some point in your life, whether it's in your early 20s like me or your late 70s or 80s, and like say, "Holy shit, where did my life go?" I mean, there's no timeline on when it's, you know, right, but it's just. I think we can all agree on this. Anybody even watching this right now, they know this is the truth. They know we're speaking truth here. It's just the matter of stepping into the fear and doing it. So I'm going to encourage everybody, and you don't have to make a giant leap. I would skydive. I used to do skydiving, and I wouldn't jump out of the plane without knowing how to pull my parachute, right? Learn how to pull the parachute and jump out of the damn plane, right? You can do it, and you're going to make it, and it's going to be okay. All right. And when I quit my job and I stepped into coaching full time, it's the same thing as you're going through right now. It was holy shit. Oh my God. And it's almost like the parachute kind of, okay, all right. It's almost like the universe was kind of, or God or whatever you want to call it, was saying my whole life, he was saying, come out and dance, come out and play, come on, let's do it. And I said, hey, I don't know, not right now. I don't know, you know. And then once I did it, the universe said to me finally, well, what the hell have you been waiting for? See, this isn't so bad. All right. It was really interesting that way.
Everything we can figure out everything. That's the thing. There's a Marie Forleo. I always forget how to pronounce her name. Maria Forleo. She wrote a book called Everything is Figure Outable. That's the most important part. The book, Everything is Figure Outable. Yeah. It's a fucking great book. I saw her in an interview. It's like jump and you're gonna become resourceful. I mean, we have to survive. You're going to figure it out. I mean, I know that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm on that verge of what the next adventure is. Like I told my wife, I said, I'm ready to move. I'm like ready to get out of California, move to Colorado, or just something different, you know, wide open spaces and not be in the city and, you know, maybe have a view of the water or the mountains or something like that. I'm like ready for the next adventure and take my son on it and just go experience more life. I mean, that's what we're all here for. And speaking of experiences, Pam says, what was, well, actually go ahead and I'll answer that because you got something.
Oh, no, I didn't want to interrupt your question. I know this is so cliche, but it's just, like we gotta, you know, it's an old Stoic kind of practice is to wake up every day and think about death. Sounds morbid, but it's, you know, you tell yourself, you know, I'm going to die one day. And at the end of my life, what is it going to mean? It's going to feel just like a dream. And you wouldn't go to sleep tonight and wake up in a lucid dreaming and say, oh, I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to go do, you know, because you know, at the end of the day, it's all like that, right? So you'd have the most fun adventures you can have. And you wouldn't ask, you say, I'm too scared. You just, you know, it's a dream. And you say, oh, I'm just going to do this amazing thing that I've always wanted to do. You wouldn't wake up the next morning having lived that lucid dream saying, oh man, you know, I'm happy I didn't go fly to Thailand, or, you know, I'm happy I didn't have this epic adventure. You know what she had, and the same's going to happen at the end of our life, on our deathbed, looking back on our life. We're going to wish we lived. Right?
It's so true. I mean, that's why I do all my posts to say no regrets. No regrets.
No regrets.
Scare the crap out of me every day. I'm like, when I get to my deathbed, I've already written my eulogy. My eulogy is something that keeps me as my guidepost every single day.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Fought for what was right and what was fair, risk for which that mattered, and left the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. As long as I'm marching in that direction every single day and moving the needle on that goal, that's the most important thing to me. Because that way, if I die tomorrow, I can honestly say this now. Last year, if I died, I'd be like, oh man. But now with everything I've done and the people I've helped, just since COVID has started, free coaching calls, coaching clients, all these shows and everything, and the people that I've met, it's such an amazing gift. Now I would say, hey, you know, if something happened right now, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to miss my son. I love him, but I was a good dad, you know, whatever. Yeah. So regrets, you got to have that leverage, that pain of staying the same versus, you know, the commitment of taking that risk to be who you truly meant to be while you're here.
Yeah, fine, man.
Pamela had a question. What is one of your most memorable moments from your travels? The time you were strip searched in Thailand and you were sent? No.
That's a good question, man. I was in one of, so definitely not like the one that stands above the rest, but the one that always kind of comes to mind, it's in the book, is when I was in Iceland, I was traveling solo, and since I was a kid, I had always wanted to see the Northern Lights.
That was a great story.
I was obsessed. You liked it, good. I was obsessed. I
cold
thought,
up there, huh?
you know, it was negative 15, I think.
I was like,
But here's the thing, though. So yeah, I'll tell you a good story. If you haven't read the book, it's a good story. I think it's a good story. So I went there, and you got, if anybody's seen the Northern Lights, you know, you got to kind of be lucky. You can kind of try to put yourself in the right position, but you know, you can't. You can put yourself in the right position, but the rest is up to the cosmos. So I was in Iceland in the middle of December. It was dark 20 hours a day. I was there on my own, and I said, you know, my first day, I traveled out to this secluded beach away from the main town, which is Reykjavik, small little town. And I sat on the beach. I stood on the beach for like 3 hours, and I was just looking up at the sky, and I'm going, "Oh man, I got to see these lights. I got to see them." And just when I started to kind of try to convince myself that, you know what, this is a place I'm going to have to come back to be a great adventure. I can't see it the first night. You know, it's too easy. Just as I started to say that, I saw this kind of thing that looked like a cloud up in the sky that was moving in this kind of weird kind of way, and kind of looked at it, and I was staring at it, and all of a sudden this little white thing turned big and started turning neon green and started dancing over the ocean. This green purple thing just started, you know, dancing, and it quite literally looked like neon green cosmic curtains dancing over the ocean. And my feet are in the snow. I'm freezing. I'm wearing like 5 layers of jackets, and I'm watching this, and I remember I had my phone in my pocket, and I'm going, and I didn't even think about it. And it was an hour. I watched this for an hour, and I cried, and I'm going, this is incredible. And I didn't once think about taking out my phone and to film it or anything like that. I just literally sat there in what Joseph Campbell calls aesthetic arrest, which is these moments in your life where you're just like, I couldn't talk for like an hour. It was, I know that sounds crazy, but it was unreal. It was unreal. It was the most beautiful show I'd ever seen. So I go back in town, and you know, I'm talking to the locals, and I'm saying, oh, it was number 1 on my bucket list, by the way, number 1. And all the locals are saying, oh my God, yeah, we saw that from the town, and it was epic tonight. And by the way, in Iceland, you see it all the time.
right.
And I'm going, oh my God, you know, it was unreal. And I got chills still, you know, coming back into town, which is like a 45-minute bus ride back into town, I think. And I go, I'm going to go celebrate at a bar. So I went down to a local bar, and I sat down, and the bartender, she goes talking to me, and I said, I just saw the Northern Lights, you know, oh my God, you know, it's unreal. And she goes, oh yeah, well, what's your name? You know, where you from? I go, my name's Travis, you know, from California. She goes, oh, my name's Aurora. And I was like, holy shit, what? Like, talk about synchronicity. And it was just one of those moments that Chris, I'll never forget it, man. It was
Oh yeah.
Unreal. And I think one of the major things that got out of that was, you know, I was talking to somebody, a friend I met in Iceland a couple days later, and he goes, you know what? You're so excited and stoked on these Northern Lights, and we see them all the time, and sometimes I don't even look up to look at them, you know. And I'm going, that's crazy. How can you see something so beautiful and not look up at it? And he goes, well, I think maybe you have something at home that, you know, you do that too, probably, maybe. And I go, no, of course not. And he goes, don't you live on the Pacific Ocean? And I go, yeah, wow, holy cow. Yep, I do. And then that changed everything. And that was kind of, you know, the sacred is all around us. The beautiful is all around us. It's just the way we look at it. So, you know, pretty huge for me.
No, that's amazing. I absolutely love that story in the book. Wow, we have so many comments. It's so great for you guys to be here. We appreciate it. Brenda Bale says, I used to work with Brenda. Brenda says, I loved our talks. The honesty was something not everyone was comfortable with or was willing to share. That's so true, Brenda. We had a lot of great talks. Margaret, what's up, Margaret? Great to see you tonight. Margaret says, how did you decide to coach?
Me or you?
Yeah.
Well, I talked to this guy, Christopher Rausch, at a bar one day, and I got the motivation to go do it. I I was in Japan, and all I knew that I would love to teach people happiness and purpose, which is interesting because I didn't know my own damn purpose, but I definitely knew kind of how to be happy because I was a typically happy dude. And I was in Japan, and I did this thing called Ikigai, which is kind of your reason for being, what the Japanese call your life purpose, basically. And it's basically what do you love? What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What does the world need, and what can you be paid for? And somewhere you meditate on these 4 questions, which I did on the top of Mount Takao in Tokyo. And it's interesting because it didn't take me long. I just said I'd love to do that, and I didn't know what coaching was at the time. But I went home and I said I'm going to teach people or not teach people. I said I'm going to have powerful conversations with people to help them be happy and to live. Because I was already doing that as a bartender. People say, your bartender's your best therapist, and I didn't like that because I didn't like listening to people's problems and not giving them like action or accountability. So this is before I knew what coaching was. I was just like, people were like, oh, I've always wanted to go to Ireland, and they would come in and work on their computer, and I'm like, what are you stopping you? Let's do it right now. And they, people would go, that's kind of thing, right?
Nice.
So I came home and I said I'm going to do it, and it wasn't. I love with my heart, and if I had said, oh, you can't do that without being a therapist or something like that, then I would have never done it. And I just came home and I said, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. And it's not a question of if, it's a question of how. How am I going to do it? And so I figured out the how, and here I am. So I just kind of, this was always, it was always there I had a world of, I was living in a world of, you can't.
Yeah.
And so we ask ourselves pretty crappy questions. You want to go, I don't know, you want to be a dancer or something, whoever, you want to be dancing, say, oh, I can't do that, right? I can't do that. Like, I have to do this. Instead, just ask yourself this, how can I?
Yeah.
I just had a client a year, actually, dancing, interesting. I had a client a year and a half ago, and she was, she wanted to be a dancer. And, I probably shouldn't, client confidentiality, but she's doing something in that realm. So you step into that world and you're going to find something, right? Whether you're teaching it or whether you're, doing it or whether you're in that world, it's there. So don't stop asking yourself bad questions and start encouraging yourself just a little bit, and have the small little curves and not just jump in the river, but just kind of take a little step, and you're going to see it's not that bad. And you're going to pretty quickly find the courage to kind of step in full force.
That's a great jumping off point. Thank you, Travis. What are some of your favorite questions for people to ask themselves? I mean, I love questions. I'm sitting there staring at a bunch of questions here. What are some of your favorite questions to get people to start thinking? And by the way, Margaret, go be a coach.
What's that?
I told Margaret to go be a coach.
Oh, come on, Margaret, step into it.
Step into it. You got a lot of knowledge, sweetheart. You got it. Melissa says, before you answer that question, Melissa says, thank you for being here, Melissa. Thank you for sharing. I'm going through the same journey of becoming a coach myself. Awesome. It's one of the most rewarding. Honestly, if you have the passion to help people and inspire people, it is literally the most rewarding thing I've ever done. I've talked with somebody yesterday, and I'm not going to divulge information, but literally that person told me I saved their life. And I was just like, what? And she explained me the situation. She says, I was planning it and I saw one of your videos and I decided not to. And I had a call with her, and when you get people to change what they're doing, you see the miserable, I want you to say miserable, the frustrating situations that they're in just because they don't have the belief or the confidence or the tools to get out of those situations. And you start imparting those things on them, and they start taking those little bitty steps, and they start building that momentum. They're like, hey, if I could do this, I could do this. And they start just taking these little steps, and they just start speaking up and owning their own life and owning their own future. It's amazing. I mean, it truly is. So go be a coach. But back to your original, the thing, what are some of your favorite questions to ask people? Or they should be asking themselves.
This is Teresa was supposed to be a coach. Was it Teresa, Chris?
Oh, okay, no, Margaret wants to be the coach.
Margaret.
And also
Margaret.
Melissa. And Melissa.
And also Melissa. So Margaret and Melissa. Okay. The questions are everything. Because as a coach, we don't love you too, Colleen.
Colleen's awesome.
We don't give advice. And if you're giving advice, what you're doing is you're getting people in the rut, in the same rut they've been in. You can't find out. You're the expert of your own life. I'm not. But what I help you do and what I'm awesome at is helping you tap into that. And I don't do that by telling you ever what to do. What I do is I help you uncover that in yourself by asking powerful questions. And some of the certain practices that I have you do, you might say I prescribe certain practices, but that's mostly to uncover who you are in yourself and to have practice self-inquiry. One of my favorite questions, so many though, man. This is like asking what my favorite travel experience is. What would you do if you weren't scared? Okay.
What would you do if you weren't scared?
What would you do if you weren't scared? Right? Because all we're doing is playing in the sandbox, baby. It's just me and the coach. Your coach and yourself. It's just playing in the sandbox. I'm not saying you got to do this, but I'm just hypothetically, what would you do? Oh, you do that? Okay. How might you do that? And we start just through verbalizing it, through speaking your world, you're informing action and insight, and you're saying, oh, I would do that. And I would do, So what would you do if you weren't scared? So what I find as a coach is most of our core self is direct. We let fear direct our life rather than our heart, right? So what would you do hypothetically if you weren't scared? And let's play with that a bit. Let's play in the sandbox. The next one is what I love, and this is typically in like a beginning coaching call, is if you're trying to find purpose in life, very simple. What would you do if your happiness paid the bills? What would you do if your happiness paid the bills? Bam. And I didn't ask. Sometimes that's the only question you need, by the way, right? Sometimes that you don't need. Maybe you might not have to read my book, man. I mean, you might want to read it because it's a pretty good book, maybe. But if you want to discover, if you just want to discover life purpose, what would I do if my happiness paid the bills? So I didn't ask, what would you do with your life that you make money in, right? So I'm asking yourself a powerful question. What would you do if your happiness paid the bills? And then we play with that. What kind of things would you do? And then I ask a question with the presupposition, which is how. Okay, so the presupposition of how implies it can be done, which I've been doing this a long time, 6 years, 6 or 7 years, I think. I don't know. But it can be done, all right? So, okay, so we're playing sandbox. We have a few things that you'd love to do if your happiness paid the bills. I mean, hypothetically, how could you do that? What action steps might you take? And then what I always get in the beginning is resistance. Well, I can't do that. This because of this. Okay, I didn't ask that though. I didn't ask can you. I asked how can you. All right. So give me 10 reasons right now. Right. 10 ways right now. Well, I mean, hypothetically, if you weren't scared, how might you do that? And all of a sudden, what do? We get really resourceful, right? Yeah. Travis ain't gonna let me off the hook unless I give me 10 freaking reasons. So you start to get 2 or 3, and I'm still getting a little bit of resistance. 4 or 5, a little better, and then we start to get you start to see in your clients, right, Chris? You go number 7, right? You go, oh shit, that's really good. Oh, number 9, that's really good because we're getting rid of the limiting BS that's on the surface, and we're getting to the core of who you are.
You can swear,
didn't I? Shit.
You said BS, and you said friggin'.
It's cool. I said frickin'. Hey man, don't make me be somebody I'm not, Chris.
Eric Swanson's in the house. Awesome. Listen to this. Colleen says, love you, Travis. Been following you for years. We got this one. Eric Swanson says, Christopher Rausch, you are a blessing to our world. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. You're a blessing. Melissa says, this is powerful. Yes. You guys are friggin' fantastic. What's up, Larry? Good to see you tonight. Thank you guys for sharing this. I mean, thank you guys so much for sharing this. I appreciate it. I want to just take an opportunity just to talk about a couple of my favorite pages here in the book. I mean, I dog-eared damn near all of it. And truth be told,
man, cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got to put my spectacles on so I can actually see. I love the fact that just in the beginning, you say, I was moving through life never allowed me to slow down enough to discover who I was. I love that because sometimes we're just going so fast at the speed of sound that we never stop to really take notice of where it is that we're going. We just get caught up in the machine, and then we look by and our life has gone by and it's 10 years later and we're like, what the hell happened to it? I love that. Another one I highlighted says, can I stop you right there?
just real quick, because I didn't, it's not that life is too short. It's that we wait too long to start living. So we act like I gotta figure this out. It's like we go through high school, and because I gotta figure out who I am before I even know who I am, and I gotta go to college, and I go to college to get that job, and then I get that job, and then I gotta get the raise, and I'm working here. I'm living here, and I'm living here, but my mind is here in the future. You're constantly chasing that ladder, and then you wake up somewhere, after you're retired, and you go, oh my God, now what? Right? You got to remember to slow down, travel, pursue your passions and interests, and that's where you're going to uncover who you are the most. So that's a big one. That's a really big one for me, man, because I was doing the same thing.
I know.
I was constantly told you got to do this and you got to do this and this is the next step. And it's like, oh my God, man, you ever climb a mountain and then you get to the top and you're just like, what the hell? I missed the whole journey up the top. What's the point? What's the point? That's life, dude. You're climbing the mountain. You're just beauty all around you. Stop. What's your, this old wisdom? Stop and smell the roses. Your grandma wasn't full of shit when she said it. She's serious. Stop and smell the roses, because that's where you find the beauty of life. So, and that's where you find yourself. So, slow down, man. You got some time. Just figure it out. All right.
Moments. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the last year, dude. Especially with my son and everything else, is moments. Like, what do you have? What do you have direct influence over? I don't say control, but what do you have direct influence over? You have direct influence over the moment you're in. Can you find something to be grateful for? Can you find happiness in the situation? And so many people look at what they don't have. And of course, if you look at what you don't have, then you're going to find more of what you don't have. If you look at what you have and focus on those moments and smell the roses and realize that life is pretty great, and sit there and stop for a second, it bugs, for me as a coach, it bugs the shit out of me when I ask them, like, do you ever plan parties or tailgates or something like that? Like, oh my God, every year we have this massive party. It takes us 2 months to plan, and and we go all out and we invite all these people and we have all these games. And I'm like, how well do you plan your life? Do you have the next 3, 5, 10 years planned for yourself? No. Yeah. How come? That's scary. I don't know. Then I might have to do it.
Yeah.
You sit there and you just sit there and hope, wish, and pray that something's going to change, and it never does. And people sit there and play the someday game. Someday when this happens.
It's a lottery mentality, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a lottery mentality. I mean, how many people win the lottery? But that's what we hope. We hope someday somebody's going to save us from ourselves. Man, it's so much easier to just do it yourself. Isn't it? So much easier.
It is. It is so powerful. I'm gonna put my glasses back on because there's more powerful stuff. Thank you so much, dude, for being here tonight. I mean, this is so much fun doing this with you, because knowing your journey and what you've been on, I'm so happy. I'm just so happy to be doing this. So actually, happiness. Look at this. I just opened the page. I highlighted happiness comes as a result from living on purpose. Yes, but the foundation of it must be practiced first, so that we're in a clear and more positive headspace on our journey. Right. That's what we've been saying. Live on your purpose. And you said
this isn't like, this is Dalai Lama, any Buddhist teacher, anybody knows, we know this. Happiness is an inside job. Practice it. Start practicing happiness and see where that takes you.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
Right.
And actually, speaking of happiness again, I knew that happiness wasn't something to be passively learned. I knew it was something to be actively experienced. And you set the example. You went and actively experienced it, and you're still experiencing it.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, sorry. Yeah, go.
No, I'm just excited as you are, because it's like, this is so cool. Through my travels, I discovered that happiness is the mindset you choose in the face of what happens to you. I mean, there's so many brilliant things in here. I was going to sit here. Actually, originally I was going to go, let's just make the interview about me going through the book and like talking about things. But I just wanted to give a teaser for you guys to go out there and get this. The link is in the show notes for you guys to go purchase this. What other comments do we have? Let's see. I resonate with that. Melissa, good to see you here tonight. Colleen says, so glad I caught this live. Yes, we're so glad you are here live with us. So what is your next adventure? So you've written the book, you're coaching, you're going out and you're experiencing things. I love how you set up your work week and doing that to make sure you have time to go play. What are some of your next big adventures that you're going to be tackling?
Well, Chris, I'm glad you asked. I recently wrote a children's book, which will be coming out, and that is oh my God, man, I'm so excited for people to read this and get their hands on it. I sincerely think this isn't for sale, pre-sale, anything like that, so I'm not blowing smoke up anybody's butts or anything like that. It's going to be a while, but I sincerely think this is probably the best thing that I've ever put out in the world. And so I'm really excited for people to read it. It's a children's book, of course, like any good children's book, it can be for adults too. You can get a lot out of it. I am doing coaching. Got a couple programs, the Live Your Adventure program, which is my life coaching course to take you from, help you create a life you don't need a vacation from, and a barefoot business, which is helping coaches go from wanting to be a full-time coach to be a full-time coach. So,
which is an excellent program. Hit Travis up for that. I've experienced it. Excellent program.
Awesome, dude. Thanks, man. Yeah, it's I've been to the, all the stuff, and it's what worked for me. And before I made it a group thing, I worked with people one-on-one through it, and it's worked for so many people. So it's out there. So, maybe I'll make that a book one day. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, why not? So what is the children's book about? Are you allowed to tell, or are you going to keep it a secret? You're making me think.
I'm not going to keep it a secret. Yeah, I know.
Because I have a kid. Because I remember when we talked, I was like, I want my kid. I want to be able to read it to my kid first. So
yeah,
we'll have you back on the show and talk about that too.
What's that?
I said I'll have you back on the show and we'll talk about that book too.
That'd be awesome. I'm hoping to get it done sooner than later. It will be sooner than my the process will be a lot less than my my other book, but I have an illustrator working on it. It's just I'm just so thrilled about this. It's called, funny enough, The Map to Adventure. I have a thing for adventure. It's my number one core value. So it's I guess a story about it's a story about a lot of things. It's about the power of imagination, the power of the freedom to be yourself, and the power of adventure, both adventure literally and spiritually. And that's not to say this is too heavy-handed for a kid. This is written for 7-year-olds, but the message is there, and it speaks to the level of a kid. That they can understand that and really feel it, and I think for the parents reading too, which that's all I think that's all I can really say right now. But I'm as you can probably tell, I'm really proud of it. So I'm really, really excited to get this out. I think it's gonna be big, man. I think it's gonna be a big thing. So we'll see. So
are you gonna self-publish or are you gonna do publisher?
So this one will be self-published. I don't want to go through the process of publishing a kid's book, because if you publish a kid's book with a publisher, you don't have say over the art. So I want to have say over the art. So I'm going to self-publish it, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to probably build a solid fan base. And from there, I would imagine we might get a publisher to publish it with the art and how I kind of envisioned it. So that's the plan. Again, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. The intention's there, so we're gonna publish it, and it's gonna be awesome, and you guys are gonna love it, and I'm so pumped. So
I'm super excited for it. It's so funny you said that, because we literally read Jackson at least 3 to 6 stories a night. I mean, he's got more books than almost I do now, and it's so funny because when we're reading the books, like you said, every children's book is also meant for an adult. And I never really thought about that. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read a kid's book, and the book is for the kids. But literally the other night I was reading this book called Morpheal. Morpheal is angry. And I was trying to figure, it was a couple of new books that we got in this series. And as I was reading, I was thinking Morpheal was this character. But as I've read it like 10 times, I'm like, no, Morpheal's my mind. That's the anger. Like the anger is showing up, and they're teaching the kids to like look at your anger as a separate thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is for adults. And now I'm starting to read more. And I'm like, oh, all of it is for everything, but it's so funny how some of it can kind of speak to you on a kid level, like, oh, okay, I'm not doing that, or even being playful or something like that. It's so cool, because nobody knows this really, that I'm actually going to write a children's book too, and it's
no way.
It's not going to have any.
Is it going to be called the Kick-Ass Kid?
I don't know if I could call it the Kick-Ass Kid, but I'm thinking of some sort of, I've got a superhero thing in mind, because I want to make it a series. Yeah. I'm reading all these books, and they're really good books, and I'm like, I could take what I know about life and translate it into a story, because I love that. I want to get in that playful mode. So yeah, it's definitely something that's on my radar. maybe I want to call the character name something with Jackson, and just kind of make it something about him and, you know, his life, maybe use adoption in it, or just a lot of things in my life, and just kind of create that storyboard of how you can go through adversity, or, you know, being picked on or being bullied, you know, different things. Cause yeah, I mean, that's really where it starts. And if we can help kids, you know, whether they're super young kids or even teenage kids or whatever it might be, I mean, that's the place to start helping people. I mean, that's fantastic, dude. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to read it.
Huge influence. You know, my favorite books are the books that have had some of the most positive impact on my life have been children's books. Seriously, like my whole love of travel and exploring and adventure and all that started with Where the Wild Things Are, and The Little Prince. You know, those are books that I read that just changed me at my core, or I guess it made me realize who I was at my core. So awesome, man. Write it, and you're gonna find, you know, kids need that kind of stuff.
Oh man, that's so funny. Mr. Goyette is here. My other co-host. All my co-hosts are here. This is awesome. LOL. I actually have planned to do a kids book. Fuck, Scott. Really? I swear to God, this guy. We have
Let's go on a book tour, man. We can go read the books, and yeah.
Dude, that's a great idea.
A book tour.
And Pamela says she loves to read children's books, so we'll bring Pam along to read the books. Yeah. She could actually read the books to the kids.
Boom.
We could stand there and look all badass, like we're like the mafia dudes, and then she could be over there like, and little Johnny picked up the no.
Yeah. Now we're gonna be a soup group.
It's fine. It's funny.
Oh Jesus! I'm getting some orders on my books, man. I'm just got a bunch of emails right now. Killer, yeah.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah. Order the book. It's so funny cool. because there's do you have to jump off anytime? We got an hour and 10 minutes. We're already been going. Do you have something to do?
I got nothing to do, man. I'm good, man. It's 8. If anybody's working at 8:30 at night, man, he's just take a break, bro. Like, so I'm good, man. Yeah.
No, it's funny when Pam said she loved reading children's books. There's one book, and I can't remember the name of it. I guess it's super popular. I never heard of it before, but basically it's this young kid who goes up to a tree and he's playing with the leaves in the tree, and it's a story about how the tree gives up. That one. That makes me fucking cry almost every time I read it, because I'm like, oh my God, that's a book for an adult.
But take that wisdom. I mean, if you're not a big reader, honestly, and you want to change, and I say this like with the utmost respect for any, you know, I've written a damn book, right? If you want to find some of the best wisdom, life-changing wisdom, go to your nearest bookstore and pick up some of the classic children's books, and you're gonna find like The Little Prince, Where the Wild Things Are, The Giving Tree, even some of the Shel Silverstein and stuff. You're gonna find wisdom in that if you step into that wisdom, you're gonna find big transformation. So, you know, it's right there for you, man. Oh, right on, Pamela. I'd love to read your book.
Yeah, she's got one written too. It's a book tour in the making. She says some of my best life memories are when I used to read to my son. Yeah. No, that's awesome. You go, Chris. That is so awesome. What would be the best advice you would give to kids right now? You know, going through COVID, they're going through isolation, whether they're young kids or teens or young adults, even I guess for even adults right now. You know, so many people are going through, you know, that limiting experience and that fear experience. You know, we've been talking about adventure. We've been talking about, you know, going out and taking risks and living your authentic self. What type of advice would you give, you know, anybody right now, actually?
Yeah, don't forget, this is kids or adults. Don't forget to play. It's where you can discover yourself again, or as a kid, discover yourself. Don't forget to play, to have fun. It's you know, we think of, I think in this culture, we tend to think of recreation as wasted time. I'm not being productive. But in fact, recreation, play, is literally about recreation. That's when you have the time to uncover who you are and discover yourself and what makes you tick and what you love and what you're passionate about. So play. We live in a culture who thinks taking time off and having fun is a waste of time, and it's just not the case. And I don't like that paradigm, and I encourage people to challenge that. Play, just have fun, pursue an interest, pursue a passion. Enjoy yourself a little bit.
Enjoy yourself a little bit.
Enjoy yourself a lot, man.
Yeah, come
See,
on.
I see. This is what I say. I say this to people, and you know, it's like, okay, just a little bit. Like, just do one thing, you know. So, or jump into the river of life and have a damn good time. You only go around this river once, so.
Well, one of the things I've been doing during this time, and I wanted to share this with you, Travis, is I've been doing a lot of complimentary coaching calls and just helping people out during this time and just connecting with people on my Facebook and everything. And one of the patterns that I've noticed in talking to people and just having fun with it on my side and just exploring the conversation in an hour is that I'm finding that people are punishing themselves. And they're punishing themselves for stuff that may have happened when they were kids. They're punishing themselves for thoughts and beliefs that other people had put into them. How do you help people in your coaching practice to help them not punish themselves and to actually love themselves more than they actually love others? Because I'm finding that this pattern of like when I say, you know, how much do you love yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And then there's this pregnant pause, and then they have to, you know, well, maybe a 6 or a 7. There's like all these, and then I talk to them about, you know, how they talk to themselves and how they treat themselves. You know, it's crazy how many people are going through life punishing themselves. They got this negative self-talk going on in their brains. They want to break out of it, but they're stuck in the cycle of that whole thing that's amounted in their totality of their life.
Right,
what do you say to
right.
people that are in that mindset?
Would you talk to your friends the way that you talk to yourself?
Yep.
So if you wouldn't do that, then why would you do that to yourself? Right? So change the way you speak your world, quite literally to yourself, and you will change your world.
So
Okay?
how important is that with some of the words, like some of the words that are very key? What are key words for you that you tell your coaching clients, hey, change that and use this? Like for me, I use the power of perhaps. It's like, can you say, perhaps it would be good? I'm a terrible dancer. Well, perhaps I would be good if I got a coach. Perhaps I would be good if I started studying.
Yeah.
What would it take for, you know, for to play your bills?
So change the way you see your world. Changing the way you see your world informs how you speak your world. And if you change the way you speak your world, your entire world's going to change. So change the way you see your world. So instead of, I'm a terrible dancer, right? You got to change your questions, right? What if I were good? How could I be good, right? How can I learn? Start asking yourself questions like that. And like you wouldn't do that with a friend, like, right? Your friend says, yeah, I'm a terrible dancer. You would say, yeah, you're pretty crap, right? You'd say, oh no, you can learn, right? Some classes, you know, you start getting inspired. So it's the same thing with ourselves, and we're all guilty of this, right? We're our own worst critics, right? So it's just kind of changing what we say to ourselves and watching it. I think we're not you know, our typical first reaction is to be negative, but that's almost natural at this point. We're almost conditioned to be negative to ourselves. Try this. We're not, you watching this, you're not responsible for your first thought, but you are responsible for your second thought and your first action. Okay, so that space, I'll say it again, you're not responsible for your first thought, but you are responsible for your second thought and your first action. Okay, that first thought, it's almost a reaction. It just kind of comes to your head, right? That second thought, between that first thought and your second thought lies all the power to change your world. So how do we do that? We approach it with maybe the spirit of equanimity and slow down and challenge that first thought and reframe it into a more powerful thought and step into that. So that's a simple practice that has kind of affected my own life, and something I encourage the clients that it helps you. Honestly, it helps you be more mindful of your world as well. And I give this to every single client I have. This is a practice that I have that we build on week by week. And it's a simple one. And what I often find from one week to the very next week is my clients, or not just my clients, people that know that I teach this, they'll say, come to me and say, you know, I'm realizing that I'm actually not my thoughts. And I have the power to kind of reframe those. And those thoughts, I've been living in alignment with those thoughts. But those aren't necessarily mine. And it doesn't take long, and just slow down and challenge the thoughts that are coming to your head right now. How do I know that's true? Is that true? Right? And what if it's not true? Start playing with that and seeing what happens. It's really interesting, man, because you start to realize like all these thoughts that come into your head that are so negative and disparaging towards yourself. And when you challenge it, you realize how silly it kind of is. It's really interesting, man. This is why meditation's so powerful too. Is you start to realize you're not your thoughts. These things kind of spark up in your head like this weird kind of like, these fireworks. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm. You got to look at them from an observer standpoint. That's something Scott and I talk a lot about, is looking at from the observer standpoint and realizing that you're not that. But something you just said that's very interesting, Travis, is truth. This is something that I just did. I just did a solo podcast on it, I think last week or the week before. It's like, how do you face the truth? And the thing that I've learned, Travis, and I want your thoughts on this, is that sometimes we have this idea of the truth in our head. Like if I sit there and say, okay, the true story of my life was that I was homeless and I went through all these different things, but there's aspects of that my truth is probably not the real reality of what happened. It's my perspective of how I took it at that point. So now I say,
totally,
that's my truth, but really it isn't the truth. So we sell ourselves short by lying to ourselves based on our perception of what the truth really is. What is your perception of that?
It's like what's the most as most common limiting belief is I'm not good enough. And this is my favorite challenge, because is it true you're not good enough? Okay, let's go back. When was the first time you heard that? The earliest time that you can remember. And oh, my dad said, I'm not good enough when I was making a cake, or I don't know, whatever, something really small like that. It's starting there. And what we do is we hear, I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough person. What the reality of the situation might have been is your dad was frustrated. That's something he didn't necessarily mean. Or maybe he said, oh, you haven't learned how to make a cake yet. Right? Something simple. But what we do is that becomes a little seed. And it doesn't mean much to us at first. But that informs a next decision. I'm not good enough. We hear I'm not good enough. And that informs, oh, I'm not good enough to be on the baseball team. Oh, okay, I'm not good enough to pass this test. And that becomes our reality if I'm not good enough. So if we challenge that and we look at it from an observer standpoint, right? Not an emotional standpoint, we detach ourselves from it and look at it as if it were a movie. What really was meant in that situation? And how did that little small seed turn into something that informed your whole life? That's not your reality. Objectively, that's just how you perceive it and how it's informed your decision making and your life moving forward. But it doesn't have to. So it's really interesting how it works. And I think that's the most common one I hear. And it doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means that's how you didn't pass a test. You didn't get picked for the kickball team. You're making a cake and it wasn't. You weren't doing good enough. And that's just. Again, we're our own worst critics. So we hear that and we go, oh shit, I'm not good enough. I'm terrible. And that. It's a sadness, man. But just try that. What's your biggest limiting belief? What's the first time you remember hearing that? And objectively, what could have been the reality of that situation? Not your perceived reality, right? But the actual reality. Think of it logical. This is logical, right? I'm a logical guy, right? So look at it from a logical, not a pseudoscientific point of view, not trying to find confirmation bias or evidence for the limiting belief, but really objectively, what could have been the reality there, right? And you're gonna laugh. I literally have clients like this. We talk and it's just you come down to this point where you're laughing. You go, oh my God, my life, my decisions are informed by this belief of this, and it's not even true. It's bull crap, right? But you accept it without challenging it, and that's dangerous. So challenge it. Right?
Mm-hmm. That's what I do. As I ask people, how could you change your perspective about that situation so that you can feel that it happened for you and not to you? Because so many people think it happened to me. Oh, that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me. And I'm like, how can you just shift your perspective just 1 degree and say it happened for you? And now at this moment in your life, you are at this place to change that perspective that it happened for you and use that as leverage or fuel as fire to change your viewpoint to be like, okay, I'm going to take this experience and go use this for the greater good of my success, right?
Right. Moments can either define us or we can define those moments. And if we choose to define those moments and rise from those moments, and it's like, what if this happened to you? Another good question I might ask is, what if this happened to you as a lesson in disguise, just making to teach you something? Again, I'm always, as a coach, I'm just sitting there, hypothetical world going, what if? Let's play with it. What if it happened to you for a reason?
Right.
What would be that reason? That doesn't, didn't. Bullshit, pissed off, I'm angry. Okay, I get you're angry, and I understand, because I do understand. We can get angry about shit, right? Sometimes stuff sucks. But what if? What would be the reason? What would be the lesson? What if this is a great adventure in disguise, begging to just call you on this epic adventure? What would it be? Well, I guess if it was, oh shit, it would be this. Oh my God, this, right? That's insight. All because you changed your questions, or I did it. I asked you questions, and that's it. I didn't tell you what the reason was. I just asked you, all right? If I put you in front of a lamppost, this is a lamppost metaphor. If I put you in front of a lamppost and I said, all right, you're gonna sit here and talk to this lamppost for the next hour, right? But you're not allowed to complain. All you're gonna do is talk about your dreams and your goals, and you're gonna talk about who you want to be and all these things. And I'm gonna come back and talk to you in an hour. I guarantee I'd come back and you'd have like 5 different insights, life-changing insights, right? Really interesting, man.
So,
The lamppost doesn't talk back. All you're doing is just talking, right? But we don't have that space often to be able to be heard, right? Because everybody's kind of waiting for the next chance to talk. Some of my best coaching sessions are when I just don't say very little, by the way, right? And I do this, and, an awkward, this uncomfortable silence, right?
I'm good with it.
And then what? Yeah. I know, because we're coaches. And because what do we know? Through the silence comes the insight. Right? That silence is where the real self kind of comes through. It's intellectual mumbo jumbo. Right? It's just insight. So if I sit there and get uncomfortable with you and I have courage to not talk to you, you start to go, all right, so I'll do this. Well, if that was the lesson in disguise, what would it be? Nothing. It wouldn't be anything. And I go, well, I mean, if it was, it'd be this maybe. And I go, not good enough for me, right? And I go, and they go, maybe it's this. Holy shit, is that right? And I haven't said anything for 2 minutes. It's interesting. You start talking to yourself, maybe, man. Start talking to yourself in the shower and see what kind of insights you come up with. Right?
Oh, dude, I talk to myself.
Or change your questions.
I talk to myself everywhere. But one of my favorite things when somebody's doing that is like, how's that working for you? Then they start. Oh, then you start. That's like a little Pandora's box cling. How's that working for you? Well, I've been doing that. How's that working for you? Are you happy? Yes or no? I love answering people and like having them answer right away. They don't get to think about it. They don't even get the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like, are you happy? Yes or no? They can't even. They're like, if you can't say yes, okay, we got some work to do. How's that working for you? What kind of modifications do we need to make in your mindset? What things are you focusing on the most? It's so crazy. I mean, dude, we could sit there and we could talk for hours. I know. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Serena's in the house. Serena Buffalino, this lady, dude, if you haven't connected with Serena, she's freaking amazing. Serena says it always happens for a reason, and you will relive that lesson until you learn to accept it. Bam. So true. So true. Look at Serena. Look at, she's all commenting. Serena's amazing. Coming to truce with all the lessons, experiences, and journey you are meant to live in your lifetime. Serena, Travis, you haven't seen my interview with Serena, go back and check it out. I mean, she's a powerhouse. Biggest challenges become our greatest truth.
Well, you got the damn truth right there, man. That's the truth. It's the call to adventure. It's the hero's journey, right? We always resist the call. The threshold is the hardest part, but what's at the end of the threshold? It's the treasure that we've been seeking. Hero's journey, Joseph Campbell. Right, and this isn't just he's a mythologist, and this is a common theme and not myth.
Go through the hero's journey.
Yeah, and this isn't just about storytelling and myth and all this stuff. It's a spiritual journey and emotional, and it's a life journey. It's our own life journey. Our biggest challenges at the other end of that is our deepest and most profound growth.
Silence.
And I say this almost every podcast I'm on. The cave that Joseph Campbell said this: the cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. He didn't say the cave that you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek.
Yes.
Right? It's not the cave that looks. It's not the cave that looks a little scary. It's not the cave with the beautiful flowers in front of it. It's the cave you fear to enter. Fear holds the treasure that you seek. So, what's your cave? And how can you make it a little less scary by stepping into it?
Wow. Dude, brother, thank you so much. An hour and a half. I mean, we could sit here and keep on going. Out of respect for your time, respect for everybody's time here. I'm going to ask you one last question, then I'm going to take us out. So you have a microphone to the entire world right now. With everything that's going on, social injustice, everything that's going on, you have a microphone to the world. What do you say?
I'd start here.
Besides what you said already, encapsulate that, but what would you say to the world?
Yeah. I want to keep it simple because, I think the best wisdom comes from simple action from our insights. Let's start here. Again, there's a lot going on. Let's just start simple. Follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. That's it.
Bam. Follow your bliss. Travis Barton, where can people get a hold of you?
Facebook right here. Go send me a friend request and have a conversation. Say hi. I'm on Instagram if you want to follow me there. A lot going on over there. And yeah, it's right there. My website is travisbartonlife.com. That's another one.
And all that information is in the show notes. So if you guys have missed that, just go back to the Facebook promo for this. To order Travis's book is on there, and to connect with Travis is there. Travis, brother, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being who you are, being the inspirational soul brother that you are in this world, sharing this opportunity with me today, and look forward to so many more conversations. Can't wait to see your children's book when it comes out, and having more of these great conversations with myself, with Scott. We had a blast when we did the Friday Night Live. So we just appreciate it, and we just love you. I'm going to put you backstage for a second. And I'm going to take us out for a second. So hang on. Cool. Anything you want to say to everybody else?
That's it, man. Follow your bliss, baby.
Follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. All right. Wow. I can't thank you guys enough for being here with me on the Raw and Unscripted show with Travis Barton. Over the last hour and a half, holy shit. It's just been a magnificent conversation about life, about the journey of life, about experiencing life, about living life, about getting out of your own way, getting out of your own mindset of the lack and the scarcity and the fear and the what ifs and who am I going to piss off and who am I going to alienate? You have to live your life. Don't exist in your life. Live your life. Take those risks, have those conversations, ask yourself those questions. We dropped a lot of major questions tonight that you could be asking yourself. Am I happy? Yes or no? No. Okay. What do I need to do to be happy? Do I know what makes me happy? If I don't know what makes me happy, perhaps I need a coach. Perhaps I need therapy. Perhaps I need to go read some books and do some exercises. You can go Google on anything and just go how to be happy. You have to take that responsibility. Ask yourself questions like, how is this working for me so far? Ask yourself, what do I have planned for the next 3, 5, 10 years? If you guys don't have plans, like literally for the next 3, 6 months, 12 months, you need to have plans. You need to invest in yourself with a coach, whether it's Travis, myself, my group coaching program with Scott, whether you at least get an accountability partner. Find somebody who can tell you the truth, the real truth about what it is that you're experiencing, and get together once a week and just say, hey, what are you going to do in the next 7 days? I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm going to hold you accountable. What are you going to do for the next 7 days? I'm going to do this. Great. I'm going to hold you accountable. You meet in the next 7 days. Did you do it? No. Why? Well, this. Okay. What are you going to do to overcome that? I don't know. You have to ask each other hard questions and hold each other accountable because it's out of love. Don't be afraid as a best friend to hurt somebody's feelings. I keep hearing that all the time. I did a post not too long ago. I said, if you have a best friend, do you tell them the absolute 1000% truth if they ask you a question and it's going to hurt their feelings? Most people said no. I mean, what kind of friend are you if you're not going to be truthful? What kind of friend are you going to be if you're not going to sit there and push people to be the best part they can be? That's what life is about. Don't get to the end of your deathbed, whether it's in 10 years or 20 years or 50 years, whatever it might be for you. Don't get back and look back and say, wow, I'm really sad I wasn't who I was supposed to be. I'm really sad that I made all these sacrifices for everybody else and I didn't do anything for myself. I'm really sad and regretful the fact that I didn't love myself more than I loved all these other jokers who don't even matter anymore. Travis and I said it tonight. We're here for like a nanosecond. I just read a post not too long ago, a couple of days ago, and it really kind of shook me. Like when you look at the span of life and the span of how long we're here, we're really here for a blip. And it's amazing how much shit we take seriously that is not going to ever matter. When you're 70, 80, 90 years old, you're not going to look back and go, man, I really wish I would have impressed that person at work more. No, you're going to look back and go, fuck, I wish I would have went into Ireland. I wish I would have went here. I wish I would have taken chances. I wish I would have sold the shit I didn't care about. I wish I wasn't in relationships I didn't love people for. This is about living your life. I talk about being unstoppable. I talk about no excuses. Today we talked about authenticity and how important it is to be yourself. If you're not being yourself, if you can't go to the mirror right now and say, I love who I am and I love where I'm going, then you have work to do. And that's okay. We all have work to do. I have work to do. Travis has work to do. We all have work to do. Nobody has it all figured out. It's a journey. It's a process. And you have to continue to grow. You have to be willing to grow. You have to be open to grow. And if you're not, then guess what? That's when you might wind up with regrets. So anyways, thank you so much, guys, for being here. Again, don't forget, we got Rainbows in Real Life with Pamela Aubrey and myself. Thursday nights, 5 p.m. You guys can always check it out here on my Facebook group page. We have a magnificent show. We have guests or we do solo shows. Again, it's all about positivity and what we can bring to the world to make the world a better place. I got Friday Night Lights, Friday Night Live with Scott. Again, having amazing guests, having panels talking about serious life questions, things that are going on around the world, or what even is just going on with us. So we've got all these different avenues for you to learn. Reach out to me, reach out to all of my guests, reach out to somebody if you're struggling, whoever resonates with you, so you make sure you can get some assistance to move forward with your goals. I love you guys so much. I really do. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, it's no bullshit. Serena, I love you. Larry, Christy, all of you guys. Elaine, there's a few people on here. I don't even know who you are. Melissa, thank you so much. Melissa says, this was amazing. Thank you for all. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you for being here. Serena, thank you. I love you. You're amazing. It's just, follow your bliss. That's how I'm going to end it on. Thank you, Christy Jones. Thank you. Christy Jones is another amazing person. Connect with her. I'm so honored to have so many of you guys as my friends and people on this journey. I love you guys all. Just remember, stay kick-ass, stay unstoppable, and no excuses, baby. No excuses.